Welcome to JasonWhiskyWise and myself, Jason, today bringing you whiskey review into the Lagavulin 16-year-old. So if you haven't seen this bottle before, one of the very famous distilleries on Islay called Lagavulin, and this is one of the staples in their range being the Lagavulin 16-year-old. Now, I poured myself a dram in like take one of this, and then I worked my way through it, and when I opened this one up, it literally went poof. You probably see that up on screen. Whoa, that was fizzy. Okay, that was actually quite cool. I never expected that. This one over here is one of the core expressions, and it's part of Diageo's range of classic malts. So this is always going to be something that you'll see from the Lagavulin distillery. Now, I'll get through the review style structure first, and then we'll get through further in talking about Lagavulin, because I could probably go on about it for some time. So in terms of the actual whiskey review style structure, the age of this whiskey over here is a 16-year-old whiskey. It's bottled at an ABV of 43%. The cask selection of it are ex-bourbon barrels, and then it's transferred into sherry casks as well. The distillery itself is the Lagavulin distillery over there, located in the south of Islay, and they are owned by the parent company, Diageo, and they are also located, as I mentioned, Islay, Scotland. So, very easy. If you go to the Islay, you'll pretty much see all the distilleries are quite easy to get to, and Lagavulin, Laphroaig, and Ardbeg are all three distilleries very close together if you do plan a trip out there. Now, in terms of the price point on that bottle over there, it's $54.99 for the bottle, which is, I think it's a 70 cl. Yep. And in terms of the actual exclusivity, it's not exclusive, but it also has no caramel colouring because it will have to write it on the back. Now, this specific bottle, the backstory on this thing, my parents were actually given, my dad was given this one, I think 10 years ago, or 8 years ago, and this one has actually even got cask sediment inside the bottom, which is very interesting. Wow. So, he was given this one a long time ago. Actually, it could be cork sediment because this is so old. Yeah, it's a possibility. So, given this some time ago, but as I was only getting into peated whiskies in the last few months, I'm going to start doing more Islay whiskies here on the channel, and now I've become a bit of a peat head, so I really love this whiskey, and I'm trying not to go through it too quickly, because when I get a new Lagavulin 16, I want to compare it to something that's been 8 years or older that we've still got around in the house. So, I pour myself a little bit here, as that was from take one. Let's begin by assessing the actual colour of the whiskey. So, let me know your thoughts on the colour of the Lagavulin 16. But this one has a very nice, deep gold character to it. And you can definitely see that influence from the sherry cask in this one. So, let's begin by assessing the nose. So before we start out actually on the nose for the Lagavulin 16, I want to say a massive shout out to my friend Josh. He actually introduced me to this program called Parks and Recreation, and you probably see a guy in there called Ron Swanson. The favourite whiskey of his, or his preferred whiskey, is Lagavulin 16, and we just literally sat and watched it every time I'm up in Scotland, so one of those things you just can't forget. So anyway, starting out on the nose for this one, it's got a very different style of peat. It's almost like a vegetal peat on this one. It's not so heavy and in your face like a peat punch like Octomore, but I'm getting more like almost like a pickled dill, but then you're getting that peaty smoke following right behind it. Aspects of iodine are still there in the background, and it's got a nice sweetness that emerges. Yeah, it's definitely like sweet spices, maybe along the lines of something like aniseed, a little bit of allspice, sweet cloves. And it's also even got touches of cinnamon powder sort of just thrown in the mix. And I'm even picking out, I don't know if it's because I've been doing a bit of cooking recently, but bay leaf. If you ever get a spice tray and you smell these different spices and different things you use for cooking, smell a bit of bay leaf, put this to your nose, and I get that instantly on the nose. There's even a slight aspect, a nutty aspect of nutmeg playing itself in the background. And now it's making way for those fruity aspects, those sort of dark fruits, like blackcurrant or even blackberry jam, and that's one of my favourite types of jam, so if you ever get that, that's brilliant stuff. And then it's got a little bit of those softer fruits playing itself in the background, accompanied by a nice rich syrupy treacle, and even a little bit of a gingery warmth, but ever so subtle and soft in the background. Wow, so much going on in the nose of this whiskey. Let's move into the palate. So to start off on the palate for the Lagavulin 16, it's not such a intense whiskey as some people do say. It's actually quite mellow, subdued and rounded. from the Lagavulins I've tasted. It does have a medium texture to begin on the palate. It's not super rich, but at the same time it's not light. It's got that perfect balance. That instant note that comes to mind is a sort of spice, and it's like a black peppery spice that starts things out. It's accompanied by a sweet peat, almost earthy in character, and a slight gingery warmth in the background. It's almost feeling now the sort of the throat and the chest aspect. That dill note keeps coming back to mind, that pickled dill. I don't know why. It's one of the things I'm instantly picking out in this one. And a slight roasted vanilla on the end. I'm going to have a second sip, see what other things we can pick out. But I can actually see some sediments here in my glass. I don't know if you guys can see that. See if I can put that to the screen over there. Let me know if you guys can see that. Let's have a second sip. From the second sip, that sort of coastal character, as if you're standing on the edge of the Lagavulin Bay, that sort of little salty, briny sea spray. Hazelnuts, roasted hazelnuts. And a nice, almost like a, I wouldn't say woody aspect, but it's like an old cigar box. Not that I've tasted an old cigar box, but that aspect of when you smell an old cigar box, almost that sort of essence of aroma is almost reflected on the palate when you're tasting this whiskey. You got a slight cherry note. I don't know if that's from the sherry cask, but really well, and it gets better and better every sip you take. It's one of those whiskies I just find that the more sips you take of this one, you just realize that the bottle's almost all gone, and you're just like, oh no, I need to go get another one. It's just brilliant. Let's get into the finish, and we'll come to my conclusion on the Lagavulin 16. So from the finish now, this has got a very nice, long, luxurious finish. It's got that smoky, peaty edge on it, but combined with these little bursts of spice like candied ginger. That sweet peat's back. And now it's making way for these fruity, sweeter, fruity aspects. Almost like you've taken figs and you've roasted them. And you're chewing on them. And just as you're sort of finishing it off on your palate, that sort of smoky roasted fig. And a nice sort of dark black forest gatto with those dark cherries. With combinations of mocha, chocolate, cherries, and a little bit of cream. Oh, this is lovely. It just gets better and better. I want to finish on the last sip, but I'm just going to end it and actually do my actual rating, and then we'll come to my conclusion on the whiskey. And this is such an easy one. I'm giving this one a 92 out of 100. Reason behind that, price point, perfect. It's £55. Getting a 16-year-old whiskey. It's got a really great balance between the peat and just the sweeter fruity notes. In terms of the way the maturation's done, I think it's just a wonderful whiskey. And all in all, I just find myself just finishing this bottle. And even though we've only got a little bit left, I'm trying to ration it out because I want to get another bottle to do an old versus new comparison, because I think that's going to be quite cool. But if you do like peated whiskies, or you're getting into peated whiskies, give this one a try. I think you're going to absolutely be surprised at the great quality in the Lagavulin 16, and it's very well rounded. And I'm actually going to be doing the 8-year-old and the Distillers edition and a 12 in the upcoming videos. So on that note, this has been JasonWhiskyWise, 92 out of 100 for the Lagavulin 16. Let me know your thoughts if you have tried it. But on that note, this has been JasonWhiskyWise, and I'll catch you all for next video. Slàinte.